So the war with Iran is in its second day, and the Iranian response came in. It came in yesterday as we were doing our show. Um, Iranian ballistic missiles struck multiple places in Israel, killing so far three people, injuring close to 100, causing additional damage that we don't fully know yet. And yeah, Israel promised before this happened that if Iran attacks civilian targets in Israel, Israel will attack Iran's oil and infrastructure. And now it remains to be seen if that happens. Although I would assume, actually, as things have been kind of Israel has been incredibly impressive over the last day and a half. I would expect this to happen. So welcome to the Daily Objective. I'm Razi Ginsburg. I'm joined by Daniel Kraus. Yeah, this is a different time of day for the Daily Objective, and for the next few days at least, we're going to do this. We always say we're a commentary channel, not a news channel, but we will be giving some mixture of news in with our commentary because I know it's never easy to know who to trust with that, and we also look, we're getting the news and we're passing it along, so we don't have reporters on the ground in, well, we have some people in Israel. We don't have reporters on the ground in Tehran just yet, but hopefully soon that will also become a possibility for us. um Okay, so a few kind of significant news points is that according to Iranian sources, the head of army intelligence in Iran has been killed. That is Gholam Raza Mahrabi. Yeah, of course, if that's true, and that you know they probably wouldn't report it in Iran if it wasn't true. That's a big deal. So much of the Iranian, so many senior officials in the military are no longer with us, and uh, this, I assume, of course, we'll learn a lot after the fact and later on, presumably after the war. But the fact that Iran struggled to have any real serious response. Look, hundreds of ballistic missiles on Israel is a serious and terrifying response. People were killed, people were injured. But if you look at even at Iranian rhetoric yesterday, it you would have expected a lot more. And even if you look at Iranian rhetoric today, you'd expect a lot more. And you think Iran was planning for more, and Israel actually took care of that in advance, and it took care of that in advance over the past 20 months with taking care of the problem to the north of Hezbollah, who issued a statement that they're not going to get involved, and of course they would have gotten involved had Israel not taken most of their people and weapons out. Uh, the collapse of Assad has also damaged Iran, and of course Israel's previous attacks and the way this started with a really surprising attack. Even though you heard it in the news that it's coming, it was surprising in the sense of I don't think they expected anything like that. So yeah, tragic as the response so far has been, it is, hopefully we've seen the worst from Iran. That's whether or not that's the case, we'll find out. But yeah, and Iran is still has still not hopefully seen the worst of the Israeli response. Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was truly scary. I mean, when there was the first wave. Then when we shut off, I think there was an announcement there's going to be another wave, and then there was a third wave. And I still have my red alert up from when I was in Israel. And if you see, there's maybe it won't focus. There were over hundreds, over 100 basically announcement, because it was all of Israel. The first wave went to central Israel, but then it went to the north, then it went to the south. Pretty much every every population center was hit. And again, population centers were the target. Iran wanted to simply wipe out Israel. Now, it probably had some belief that Israel would be able to defend against most of it, so they wouldn't inflict that big of a casualty. But the intention was clearly there. Now, as Razia said, we're just reporting on this. So if we are wrong on anything, although most of what I say, I'm trying to be sure that that's actually true. So a few more things you haven't mentioned. Something that I think is really good, and I mean you mentioned Hezbollah, is the fact that so far nobody else seems to be involved. So luckily, I mean Yemen sent like one. Was it even a missile? One missile, one rocket, and that was, I think, it from the Yemeni side. So it looks like Yemen seems to be out of the picture for the most part. I mean, even in the past few weeks, they've been sending stuff, but it was inconsequential for the most part. Hezbollah doesn't seem to be involved in any way. I think the something that is probably the most scary is Palestinians. And if there is any sort of uprising, especially now, pretty much all of IDF is or reservists are called up. So Israel is truly getting ready for anything. So hopefully it will be able to deal with that. And so few more news. Iran is threatening France, Britain, and US, basically saying if any of them get involved in any way, they'll bomb the bases. But luckily, Britain has had already threw Israel under the bus, so I wouldn't worry about that. I haven't seen anything about the US response yet, or if they are getting involved in it anyway. I know that Israel Katz has basically said that if Iran will continue, that Tehran will burn, and I think that absolutely should happen already, not waiting for some. Um, the-
Yeah, Britain made that announcement preemptively, and of course Iran still said we'll target you if and when. Yeah, Britain very very keen to be on the wrong side of history here. Trump is still offering or begging or whatever it is for Iran to come back to the negotiating table so he can save whatever is left of the Ayatollah regime that has terrorized the Middle East for nearly half a century. Uh, Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says it's been a long night in Israel. Absolutely. And thank you, Nathan, for the super chat. Somebody who experienced that long night in Israel is joining us now. Iyar Reichel. Iyar, thanks for joining again for the third time in like a day and a half or a bit more, and hopefully we will see you a lot more in the coming days as Israel makes sure that this regime in Iran is uh, takes its rightful place on the ash heap of history.
Thank you. I haven't been in the loop of this live stream. I joined as I could. Regarding my personal experience, being in shelter is not fun, but it is what it is. I'm very sad for the Israelis that got injured and unfortunately died tonight. It's very sad, very difficult. Yet we must fight evil and destroy it. I'm looking forward for Israel attacking Iran's oil ports, refineries. Uh, I'm looking forward for that. I hope it will happen. And this is currently my point of view.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, we did mention that that was the promise from Israel, so we are waiting for that to be delivered. And unlike I think you and I are both have higher expectations now than we did a day and a half ago, or
Definitely.
yeah, Thursday afternoon when we did, or evening when we did the reality show. Because look, we knew some sort of response is coming from Iran. That doesn't mitigate the great achievement of what Israel did to start this war. Absolutely incredible and a historic day in the history of warfare. And yeah, and again, when we look at this response and the videos, those of you who watched yesterday's show, The Daily Objective, which ran for 2 hours or so towards the end, we saw those videos. Uh, we saw them on Israeli television as we were doing the show, and then we saw others that, of course, we didn't share. But it was terrifying to see Tel Aviv under attack like that. But imagine what it would have been like if this was done on Iran's timeline rather than Israel's. Even Israel's timeline was still decades too late, but you know, right before it would have been too late for real. Thank you, PC, for another super chat. PC says, "No, Razi, the poo heap of history, whatever we call it. Let's hope they are history." Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, something that has to be mentioned a little bit is, when attacks happen on Israeli soil, obviously Israelis are much more, or Israel is much more free when it comes to sort of information, right? So you'll see much more stuff, most likely coming from Israel, things getting hit or something happening, than in Iran. The fact is, Iran has been hit heavily, and just follow official Twitter account of Iran military. They keep just sending the same image. They are keep showing just that one attack that was able to be captured and that actually sort of went through and sort of hit Tel Aviv. So it's similar to sort of what has been happening in Gaza. People see an image and tend to replace everything with simply that one image, but that's not what's happening. Israel is still in great position. Israel should continue and I think can achieve great things. You mentioned sort of Israel is still on the Iranian timeline. It reminds me of, I'm sure people have seen Leonard Peikoff on Bill O'Reilly when they talked exactly about it, that something needs to happen to Iran. And if it doesn't, I think Bill O'Reilly said something like he doesn't want to see children dying in Tehran or children dying in Iran. And he said, you'll see children dying in New York. And this is exactly what's happening. This is your choice. Iran has already said and is saying every day, death to the Zionist regime, death to America. This is their goal. This is what they wanted from day one, and they'll never change from it. This is not like an opinion that you at some point you realize maybe is not the best way to lead your life and you change. No, this is a death culture that can only be shut down and cannot be negotiated with. This is your only choice. This is the only choice Israel has and is in best position to do so. Iran is a rogue regime. They are now threatening every single country around the world that if they get involved, this is not something that any Western country should tolerate. The fact that France and UK are tolerating these threats is ridiculous. So yeah, the choice is clear.
Yeah. Okay, we have some more news that I want to go through. But before that, Daniel, let's show that video. So here's a couple of videos. The first one you're going to see is people in Iran who are very much happy to see the regime being attacked. Yeah, they're enjoying themselves. Good. Hopefully, they'll get to enjoy themselves some more. I'm not sure about the choice of music, but that's why you have freedom, so people can listen to whatever they want to. And yeah, let's see another video also from Iran. all right, we get it. Okay, so yeah, they're celebrating. So yeah, when we say Iran is the country that we have the most hope for in terms of the regime, as opposed to other Islamic dictatorships in the region, this is the one we have some hope for that if the regime falls, maybe it will be replaced with something better. But make no mistake about it, this regime has its supporters and even its opponents should be prepared for the fact that yeah, they it's terrible, but they haven't gotten rid of the regime up until now, and Israel will have to do whatever it has to do. It hasn't done everything it can, yeah, so far, in I mean, hasn't done nearly as much as it could if it really wanted to get rid of the threat. And again, Israelis died, so maybe it is time to step it up a notch.
Yeah, well, I have two things on this regard. First of all, I'd like to add on what you said about how important it is that it's an attack launched by Israel and not Israel responding to an all-out war from Iran. And the way to see it is to see the logic, the tactical logic of the attack. So the first targets we attack, and it was basically the Israeli security forces. Mostly, I think it was the Israeli Air Force and the Mossad and the intelligence community. The first thing we did was to destroy their anti-aircraft systems so the Israeli Air Force could come along safely and launch a more daring attacks. And then the second thing we attack, and I'm putting, yeah, we also went for the leadership as well, but I'm talking about like one of the first thing we did was to destroy their anti-aircraft system and then to destroy their ballistic missiles and missile launcher, and then like make sure we have our superiority over Iran. And this is important because by doing that, we are making it way less dangerous and risky for the Israeli home front. Because now when their launchers are gone, a majority of the launchers are gone and a lot of their ballistic missiles are gone, there is a very narrow limit to how much ballistic missiles they were firing at us at once. And I've seen on the news that the leader of Iran wanted to respond with 1,000 ballistic missiles on the night of the attack, and the best they can do was 150 missiles per time, like at once. And now, when we have air superiority and we got the surprise attack and killed many of the military leadership and the Revolution Corps, whatever they called in English, now we are moving target by target, hopefully targeting their nuclear facilities. I'm not so sure about how deep we go there. And hopefully we'll move on to destroy their economy as well. This is extremely important to destabilize this evil regime and allow the people who want it gone in Iran to do the thing and have courage and know that we are helping them and we will be on their side when they change the regime.
Yeah, and Iran is already in the worst position it's been economically, and this is before this war started. So really, yeah, Israel has a great opportunity here that hopefully it will take advantage of. Thank you, Deeper with Diego, for becoming a member of the YouTube channel. Thank you, PC, for another super chat. PC says, Razi, one day soon Iran will be a democracy. That will be a step in the right direction. Let's say, yeah, from where they are now. We have Nathan joining us also from an undisclosed location in Israel, so BBC Verify cannot ascertain his position by the movement of the sun. Yes, I'm going to keep making that joke on every show nowadays. Hey Nathan, how's first of all, is everyone on your side safe?
Hey, yeah, we're all good. Thanks for asking. Yeah, it's been a while since I was on the show, so but I
We're
guess
having trouble. We're having trouble listening, hearing.
can you hear me now? Wait,
That's a bit better.
let me see. I'm not in my usual place. You caught me off
Yeah, it's better now. I
guard.
think you were covering your microphone with your hand.
Oh, okay. You know what? Let me just place the phone like this. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm doing well. Asking, it's been a while since I was on the show, so I'm just gonna be here for a few minutes to talk, and yeah, just intense days. I think we were woken up last night like three, four times, so a little sleep deprived, but other than that, everything is okay.
Yeah, we were just talking before you joined that it was very concerning to see the videos of the bombing of Tel Aviv and other places in Israel, and people were killed, people were injured, but um, that only shows how important this was to do. Uh, Again, not now, a long time ago, but now as opposed to waiting and what could have happened if Israel had waited.
Yeah, I raised a question. I think it was on Twitter or X yesterday. Like, would we have attacked Iran if October 7 did not happen? I'm not sure if we would have had the courage to do so. And I also think that the Iranian attack on in April, when was that? 2024. That was a watershed moment. I think the Israeli cabinet security, they understood that um, that you cannot live with this. You cannot live with hundreds of ballistic missiles aimed at Israel with a few of them equipped with nuclear. I mean, that's just not sustainable. And in my opinion, they made the decision there then that we need to act. I mean, obviously, Israel was preparing this for many years, but I think there's a difference and having making the decision to actually do it. So hopefully they know what they're doing. Hopefully there's a strategy. Hopefully they're going to they will know what Fordo with the nuclear facility site. I mean, I'm sure you talked about this already, but not that I'm an expert on this issue, but from what we understand, that's the main site, the main target for us. We don't have the bunk busters to be able to bomb that. So I don't know what Israel is going to do about that one. We'll wait and see. But hopefully there's a plan, whether it's commando units, whether it's I don't know, some backing from the U.S. That's the one to take. However, I do think that I go a bit of a tangent, but I listened a little bit to Yaron Brooks' show last night, and I think I agree with him that Israel needs to be more ambitious here. We don't need to just target the nuclear sites. Like that should not be the strategic goal of this war. I think what we need is the collapse of the Iranian regime. That should be the number one target of Israel. That would be, I mean, just it would be just like, I mean, think, okay, so the change that will in the Middle East will be so incredible. Like it will really be a new dawn of for like humanity, for civilization. But also just if you think about the justice and the moral uh, 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 meaning of this, that has been just causing so much havoc, chaos, suffering for 40 years. It's time for the Iranian regime to fall. It's time. And I hope Israel has some propaganda campaign, like to I don't mean propaganda in a bad sense, but I mean like in the good moral sense. Like we need to encourage the Iranians to rise up. We need to remind them what the regime has done to them all these decades, and we just need to show them moral support that they can rise. I mean, Israel can do a lot, but at the end of the day, I think when it comes to change, then that's only on the Iranians. So they
Yeah.
the ones who rise up and cause this change. Yeah.
Yeah, now I do have to say, I think it is more ambitious than those of us who, first of all, didn't really know if Israel was going to do anything, but expected that if Israel does something, it will be less than this. I mean, certainly less than what Israel did to start this war. It was absolutely amazing how they took out Iran's entire military leadership and the people in charge of the nuclear weapons program and so on. And yeah, I'm sort of, there are the things I'd like to see, and there are the things I realistically think I might see. And this was actually beyond what I had any realistic expectations for. So as much as I'd love to hear Israel say we are going for regime change, they are going for regime change, whether they admit it or not. And yeah, before you joined, we showed a couple of videos. One of them was uh, people in Iran having a rooftop party,
Yeah.
viewing party for the Israeli bombing of Iran, and
And that's
yeah, yeah.
I'm saying that's incredible. I mean, what other country in the world, I don't know, other than maybe North Korea, you would see, and I'm not even sure about North Korea, but what other country you would see citizens, rooting for the attack? Yeah, this situation has to be resolved.
Yeah, but my other point was I'm all for partying, but how about like fight against this regime now, and then let's all have a big party together in Tehran afterwards. Um, Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. We're joined by Michael Kaufman. Also, many shows over the last few days, and many more to come until hopefully this is over soon. But yeah, your thoughts at the moment?
Well, it was a rough night, as you all know, and my family's still in Tel Aviv, still in the safe room. They call it the mamad. They've got a mattress in there now. I mean, none of this is really, frankly, in the strategic sense that matters, except that civilized people scurrying to safe rooms and not getting good night's sleeps doesn't help economies produce the kind of things that help humanity move forward. This is a complete waste of time and energy against a regime that not only has been contributed nothing since the Iranian Revolution in '79, but actually has only fomented terrorism and hate and wants to take over the world. And what's remarkable is you've got the remarkably increasing number of useful idiots listening to Khomeini say death to America and death to Israel and thinking this is some sort of a slogan that has no real meaning in real life. He means it. You saw death to Israel yesterday. You saw attacks. Unfortunately, a few of the hundreds of missiles and UAVs got through. Even with the U.S. help, and that's inevitable. It's a numbers game, and also it sounds like some of these missiles were might have been hypersonic missiles, but they're more difficult to take down. I'm sure Israel is all over it. I'm sure there's technologies being implemented now to get better at it. And I also understand there's a lot of naval boats that have been positioned outside between Israel, in the ocean, in the Mediterranean, between Israel and Iran to take out these things. But the world has to get behind Israel and America. And of course it isn't. You don't see that. You see Tim Walz talking about Tim Walz, the former vice president candidate, talking about who is a unbiased person that could help get to a ceasefire here. And he suggested China. That's his example. That's the former vice presidential candidate of the United States suggesting China. We have a lot of work to do to get people to wake up. And it's really simple, and they just don't seem to get it.
Yeah, China, of course, heavily invested in the Iranian regime's survival here,
Yeah,
and
and
yeah,
anything
I
that's
mean, if
anti-American, everything that's anti-American.
look, if Qatar can be a mediator between Israel and Hamas, a negotiation that shouldn't happen in the first place, and then happens, and you have basically Hamas's people being the mediator, then yeah, anything goes. Thank you, PC, for another super chat. PC says, Razi, I'll buy you dinner in Iran one day at the party. I look forward to it. I'm going to use this opportunity to say that Wednesday, after the reality show, we're going to be announcing our biggest event that we've ever done, and it's a super exciting one later this year. This one is in the United States of America. The next one will also be in the United States of America, but maybe 2027. We don't have a venue yet. We might do it in Tehran. Why not? I'd love to do that. Israelis. Many Israelis get much of their news, especially war related, I think, from Abu Ali Express, the Telegram channel, and uh, I'm reading it now. I mean, this isn't necessarily big news, but I like the way they put it. They said Iran has announced they're closing their airspace until further notice, and then they add it doesn't include the Israeli Air Force that is flying around freely in Iran. There were a couple of other news items I wanted to quickly mention. So there is reports that there are attacks on refineries in Tabriz. So Israel is hopefully starting to really cause damage to Iran's economy as well as its military. Yeah, that is a necessary part of it. And look, Israel's attacks are continuing. As we mentioned, Iran probably would have done a lot more had Israel than it did last night had Israel not prevented it at the start of this war. So yeah, the drone attack that was first. I mean, we were here on the channel live for 7 hours. Anybody who missed it should go back and watch the entire thing. But if you don't, I'll tell you. Yeah, we were watching that, and we were reporting when it was reported that the drones were launched. And they had all been taken out long before they reached anywhere near Israeli airspace. Of course, with ballistic missiles, it's not the same, but Israel is continuing to operate, continuing to take out missile launchers. And yeah, hopefully, if we haven't seen the end of it, we will see that soon, and Israel can be much even more free than it is now to operate in Iranian airspace and on the ground with Mossad agents. Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, just a few quick thoughts, because Michael mentioned the sort of the number of missiles that go through. It's important to remember. I think what I've read, about 25% of missiles went through according to protocol, meaning basically Israel just let it fall because it knew it's not going anywhere significant, which I think is like a sizable number. The fact that Iran is not even aiming properly, and these are ballistic missiles. These are not just like rockets you shoot and like hope they hit something. These are supposed to be a bit more precise, a bit like actually going somewhere. And the fact that 25% of them are they didn't even bother to actually aim at something is incredible. Not to mention the fact that attack took so long, I think also is Israeli credit. I think they managed to actually shoot down a lot of, or basically destroy a lot of missiles before they were even shot. So I think that's why it took so long. And also Michael mentioned the idea of unbiased mediator, which again is something straight up of Atlas Shrugged novel, right? It's like the only way you can actually be objective is if you don't have any values, is if you don't have any actual beliefs, anything you can get out of this. That's the only way you can actually be objective, because you don't have any actual values that tie you to the real world, that actually give you idea of what is good and what is bad, who is evil and who is good.
Um, so yeah, I'm seeing now that they're saying that there's no longer a need to stay near a shelter. We heard that yesterday. Then of course there was a need, but yeah, this is it once again shows the level of confidence that Israel has, because if remember when the bombing of Iran started, Israel woke everybody up. Overriding any silent mode on their phone and everything, just to make sure that people know that an attack might be coming soon and you should stay next to a shelter. So if they're saying there's no need to stay next to a shelter, yeah, that is a high level of confidence that things are going well.
Yeah, Razi, I see another update right now from Telegram, and there are reports of witnesses and videos of smoke coming out of the oil supply in Abadan, Iran. Now, we not yet to know what it means. It could mean that we're starting to attack their oil, which is great news. I hope this is right. I hope this is not just some error or misinformation. I hope this is real, because if it does, it is extremely significant. And as I said earlier, this will be one of the most major benefactors for Iran's regime change.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier about how this is more than expected, to the point that when Israel said yesterday, Nathan, that if Iran fires at Israeli civilians, Israel will target its oil, and it has apparently targeted oil reserves, oil refineries. This is hopefully just the start. Um, yeah, we were talking about Netanyahu. By the way, friend and supporter of the channel tweeted at me, "Are you now going to vote Netanyahu?" And I said, "Of course not, but I will give credit where it's due." And look, I said yesterday, the biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust happened on Netanyahu's watch, and the reason for this attack and it being so comprehensive and looking like it is meant to bring the downfall of the regime is he probably didn't want to break that record again. And yeah, looks like he's at least not going to have that on his record, and have something very positive to go along with the negatives.
Yeah, I mean, if he learned from that, then you can give him credit for that, but he should have learned a long time ago. Uh, so I definitely agree with you about that. What I don't understand is, why is Israel making these threats like, oh, if you attack our populations, we're going to attack your oil refineries? I mean, is that more like towards the community, or is that an actual like strategic game? I mean, if you started a preemptive attack, you like decapitated many of their military. Like, this is full on war. Like, there there's no need for what do you call it, for like escalation points or whatever. Like, just do whatever needs to be done, so you can actually topple this regime. I mean, that would be my just goal, and I hope Israel will that as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, Michael.
my suspicion is that you're absolutely right. I think this is part of Israel's trying to show everybody how good they are, and we warned them, and kind of, it's the bully just punched me, and I just recovered, and I said to the bully, if you hit me again, I'm really going to get pissed off. Israel continuously does this. I don't particularly like this PR campaign that they embark on, but I don't think Israel really wants to go bombing the neighborhoods of Tehran. I think the better thing would be to have a revolt there. Hopefully, I did hear that Starlink is going up in Iran. That Elon Musk turned on Starlink in Iran. Did you guys hear that? In order to help
Yeah,
foment the
I saw
revolt.
that report. Elon Musk tweeted this so he said that the Starlink is up and running. I don't know how many Iranians can connect to that, but yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a sense in which targeting the economic assets of Iran is kind of a big deal, and a big deal with internationally. So, I mean, I can understand that from that point of view. But from the point of view of Israel needing to achieve its goals, I think it just needs to do what needs to be done. And yeah, if it needs to play this PR game with the international community, and if it doesn't want to piss off Trump, doesn't want oil prices to go up, and all of that, okay, I understand that. Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, I'm not a strategist, I'm not a general, I don't know what's the best route to take. But if targeting the economic assets with the populations, the Iranian population, to go out and protest and hopefully topple the regime, then yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat, and one of our regular Nazi trolls, like one of the full-on Nazis, is uh spreading the kind of fake news that we see so much of. There's stuff, I don't know if I should repeat all of it, just even the idea of repeating it, but stuff about what is happening to Israelis in Iran, and where Iranian missiles have actually hit in Israel, and it's much of it is wishful thinking, and it shows you, this is something I said on Twitter, was that there is no movement more genocidal than the anti-genocide movement. If you look at the way people are talking about the attack on Tel Aviv and how they're celebrating it, on central Israel, yeah, they really do want to see as many civilians as possible killed. And again, with Israel's kind of measured responses and like degrees of escalation that you mentioned, if it's yeah, it was 3 dead last night and this morning. Michael, had the exact same missiles hit even meters away from where they did, and it was 300 dead, then yeah, we would already see. And again, we're seeing a lot. I like what we're seeing in Iran, but I like it more if it was a lot more. And it saddens me to know that many Israelis have to die for Israel to really step it up significantly.
It's a great dichotomy between the way people have been taught for some reason to judge attempted murder versus murder. If you went to murder somebody and you failed, it seems to me that's just as bad as if you completed it. I do not understand in terms of incarceration or holding the person who committed the act accountable. I cannot for the life of me see the difference between those two situations. And it is remarkable to me that we somehow think if you're failed that you should be let out of jail sooner, and I mean that in both the literal sense and the figurative sense, out of jail sooner, as if maybe you should have another shot at it, versus if you completed the act. And this is the same kind of stupidity that we apply, that the fact that thousands of missiles come on to Israel, and as long as only a few people get killed and a few tens of people get hurt, it's kind of okay. Because that's kind of how we're behaving. Now, I agree with you. With this, finally, unlike what we did even in northern Israel with Hezbollah and in southern Israel with Hamas, we're actually fighting this war, it seems to me, to win. I mean, we decapitated these people. It's much more akin to finally we got the pager operation in northern Israel. But we also put up with thousands of missiles before we did anything there. Here, at least, we're seem to be fighting this thing to actually win it and win it fast.
Yeah, and somebody in the chat says Israel needs to push fast. The world will soon once again try to stop it from achieving anything outside keeping the status quo. Yeah, even the countries, some of them somewhat surprisingly, some of them less surprisingly, that are supportive, let's say more supportive, which France is in that category, which shows us what state of the world. But anyway, yeah, they include de-escalation in all their statements. That's boilerplate. Like you have to have that seemingly in every official statement. And yeah, there will be more. And in France's case, it was something like Israel has a right to defend itself, but we don't want escalation. The Israel has a right to defend itself diminishes as time goes on, and the de-escalation increases in its significance and in its presence in those statements. So yeah, Israel should act fast. But look, if Israel has the support of the U.S. at the moment, then it doesn't matter what France, Britain, or any of those pathetic countries and pathetic leaderships say. Israel can do what needs to be done, is of course helping all these countries and is getting the thanks that it always gets, which is none. Thank you, Robert, for the super chat. Robert asks, any thoughts or guesses on the end game here? What comes next? Just pushing the nuclear clock back a few years, or perhaps regime change as in Syria? So yeah, like I said, I think that while Israel won't say that the goal is regime change, the way it has at least started this war, and the way it's continuing, it makes me think that they're aware that pushing it back a year or however long it takes. I saw somebody yesterday, an expert. Now I take that with a grain of salt always, especially if it's somebody I know nothing about. But somebody who said even if Israel could destroy everything Iran currently has, they would be a year from a nuclear bomb, like if they had to start over. So, yeah, yeah, the way to push it back beyond a year is to get rid of this regime. Daniel.
Well, let me just interject. I agree with you, but I have to run. I have to prepare for work. So great to be here, guys, and
Thanks.
see you later.
And yeah, Nathan, as I mentioned, we are going to do this at least a couple times a day for the foreseeable future. Hopefully, you'll join us again in the coming days. Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the fact that basically Israelis have to die if Israel wants to do any response. That is such a depressing state of the world. But this is not just sort of like on like international stage that Israel has to justify itself by basically letting some Israelis die. It is also the government itself who is refusing to act unless something happens. And you know, Michael mentioned about sort of the idea of attempted murder because that's what Iran tried to do. They did try to wipe Israel out. They did that, and that's their goal. They want to wipe Israel out. I mean, I don't know what to. I don't know how many Hezbollahs, how many Houthis Iran has to set up, has to give them arms to, so they can attack Israel, whose whole existence relies on basically or is around wiping out Israel. How many of these need to happen for like the world to understand that. Um, and I am absolutely for de escalation. We should de escalate buildings in Iran. We should de escalate the regime of Iran. Absolutely. It has no reason to exist. And, you know, I haven't been following very closely about sort of what the international community, like different countries, are saying as much. But yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this on yesterday's episode or day before or whenever is the fact that like this should be a no-brainer even if you are some sort of like a modern belief in you know, Pope has said people should, you know, Iran and Israel should act on reason. This is Israel act on reason. This is Israel dealing with Iran in exactly the way it needs to be. But even if you are that, how can you like look at Iran, how can you look at Iranian people who try to stand up and see that as like this is something good. I mean, I don't remember Arab Spring, but I believe to some extent it was like something good, at least viewed, right? It's, you know, people's, I mean, on the international stage. Oh, people are standing up to the regime, that's something good. But like now, where this is actually something positive, not them just like standing up and replacing a dictator with another dictator. This is them standing up and possibly wanting something different. Iran is one country that had a bit better Western aligned and Western moving, especially sort of society for a while. And this is the one country where it's like, no, we only care when the revolutions are gonna replace dictators. We don't care if revolutions are actually gonna change something fundamental about the state.
Yeah. Well, since we have over 300 live viewers and only 92 likes, in a sense, Iran has already won. But you can fight back by clicking that like button. Thank you, PC, for the super chat. PC says, "I'm ashamed of the UK." Yeah, I mean the government is absolutely uh, terrible, terrible, and you know, to people in the UK in its bizarre justice system, terrible in its um, standing strongly on the over the last 2 years on the wrong side of history. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. Yeah.
Well, I have a few updates. So first of all, there are some OSINT researchers I follow on X, and they're saying that according to IDF's latest announcement, it seems as if our Air Force has routinely and nonstop Air Force fighter jets flying over Iran and seeking for launchers to prevent any launching of missiles. And I just want to say this is very impressive because Iran is 2,000 kilometers away from Israel, and we managed to sustain non-stop supervision of our fighter jets regarding this, and also having our attacks over Iran. So a big hats off for our Air Force and military and security forces. This is very impressive. My second update is that Macron was interviewed to a Saudi channel and said that they would recognize a Palestinian state in their committee with Saudi Arabia in New York. And I just want to say that if this is true, Israel should expel the French ambassador ASAP. This is unacceptable, and this is really a huge shame for France. This is shameful, and they should be. This is a moral degradation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been thinking about this since Israel started attacking in Iran, and I'm hoping, because Israel really is saving the world from this evil, dangerous regime that was about to be a nuclear armed regime. Um, yeah, Israel should step it up diplomatically and to the extent, and I say this, very carefully because my view on Trump is very clear. But I think, all right, Michael, do you want to jump in quickly because I know you have to leave, and I will continue my thought. If you have anything to add, I will continue right after.
You're muted.
You're muted, yeah.
What AR said about we should expel the French. I can't imagine that Macron, who is completely screwed up and morally completely bankrupt, I think he's going to keep plowing ahead. This man does not care. He is on a mission, and I think they need to call evil out. And I think Israel should get out of all of these corrupt institutions. I think the U.S. will follow. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And this kind of appeasing people and trying to talk sense into them when they make such obviously evil choices, it just doesn't win. You got to just say you have to shun them. Frankly, you have to shrug. So on that note, I will see you all. I'll be able to sign in later if we continue the show. Thank you.
Great. We'll see you soon. Yeah, I would like, I agree, yeah, and Michael, I would like to see Israel really acknowledge that friendship is a two-way street. If somebody doesn't want to be your friend, they're not your friend. And if you pretend they are, that is to your detriment. Yeah, I'd like to see that happen. I think to some extent it's happening. I'd like to see it more with Spain, with Ireland, with Norway. I mean, it's not an easy thing to do, but these are countries that are standing with the people who did October 7th. So, if Israel were to celebrate, what was his name? Breivik, the guy who went onto that island and massacred people in Norway, and Israel, took an official stance that he should be, that island should be an independent state where he is the dictator. I would expect Norway, if they were semi-reasonable, to cut ties with Israel over that. That is, and that should be Israel's policy. They are standing with murderers, and they should be condemned for it, and Israel should distance itself from them for it. Thank you, Bonnie, for the super chat. I don't remember who's next because I don't remember which of you spoke last, but either of you want to jump in.
Okay, I can. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say, really? Watching the chat, people are doing the same old sort of like anti-Israel rhetoric, talking about how America shouldn't get involved. So I think this needs repeating, especially since we have new viewers. Iran, the current regime of Iran, when it came to existence, it declared war on America. It took American hostages and invaded American soil. On day one, there was a war with Iran that America has refused to recognize and has never recognized since, and is paying the price for it. All of the terrorism against Americans, the October 7th, the Americans that were taken, the Americans that were killed, the bombing in Lebanon, the barracks bombing, Americans that were killed, the international shipping that was attacked by the Houthis. All of that is the fault of Iran. All of that is action that Iran has been helping. Iran has been helping Russia. Iran is very close to pretty much all of the axis of terror. China, North Korea, all of those are American enemies. If America can, in a similar way, if America can supply weapons to Ukraine to fight Russia, in the exact same way, if America can help Israel fight Iran, it should absolutely do so. This is in its own interest. This has nothing to do with sort of some sort of like weird anti-Semitic view that all politicians in America are controlled by Israel. This is absolutely in American interest, and America should honestly be more involved if needed. I mean, there is, I think, at least one nuclear site that Israel is not able to target currently. We'll have to see what it can do about it, but absolutely, America should be involved. Should not listen to Iranian threats. The fact that Iran can get away with threatening to America is honestly ridiculous. So whatever needs to happen, Iran has to be taken out because Iran will try to take out or not even take out, even if this is not an existential crisis for America. Any American that die because we are refusing to get rid of Iran, that's fault of whoever is in charge.
Yeah. PC says, if you trust Hamas, no men exist in Gaza. Well, look, Muslim society is so already paranoid, and the more they take their religion seriously, the more paranoid they are, to the point that they think the rocks and the trees will talk when a Jew is hiding behind them. And of course, Israel has played into that paranoia with exploding pagers and exploding walkie-talkies and dozens of Iranian officials sleeping in their bed in Israel, knowing where they are. So maybe they think the Jews have special weapons that only kill the women and children. But no, of course, that's not what they think. But somehow that is what they're selling, or some variation of that to the world, and the world is happy to buy. Yali, yesterday you said after this, maybe Victory Now, you might have to change some chapters in it. But the thing is, that project came about because of how Israel is fighting in Gaza, and that is still how Israel is fighting in Gaza. I'm thinking as we are about to wrap up, because we'll be back in 4.5 hours, but yeah, do you think that, well, there's definitely an opportunity here while all eyes are on Tehran, so to speak, to do something more significant in Gaza. Will Israel take the opportunity? And yeah, what do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think the situation in Gaza is moving really slow because Israeli leadership and Israeli citizens doesn't have enough moral courage and pride and understanding that they are on truly the right side and have a much larger mandate to do whatever they need to do in Gaza. And we are afraid in this regard, we are worried that the world will stop liking us, quote unquote. So we're taking it really slow in Gaza and just trying to do soft, heavy military pressure and diplomacy at the same time, instead of just like shutting down the water and waiting for them to wave a white flag. I think Israel can be very brave, can do significant things, as we've seen. Unfortunately, Israelis have to be cornered in order to act. I think before October 7, Israel doing anything in Gaza was unheard of in the Israeli public, and we paid a huge price for that. Many Israelis, many innocent people died in vain in this regard, to give us the courage and pride and moral understanding that there are things to be done, and we are not yet doing it good enough. So I just think we're gonna keep the same method in Gaza, which is slowly closing on it and evacuating the Palestinians into safe zones we control. I think the way we're doing it is not good. The way we work with militias is not good because we're so afraid of being occupiers. I think in this regard and in this context, being an occupier is a great thing because you can, as an occupier, you can actually give these people an opportunity to change their ways and to re-educate them and to give them civil rights that they are currently deprived of. So it's just a shame. Like, think about the concept of, I think I've talked about it before, but I'll say it again. Think about the racist concept of the right for self-determination. Because this concept assumes that any form of a state is basically an entity working against its citizen. And then they're saying, okay, since a state is an entity working against its citizens by definition, this is the thought process. So they think, well, the only acceptable form of such oppression is by the same race. So only Palestinians has the right to rule Palestinians because any rule is oppression. So it's basically a racist form of legitimizing oppression by the same race. But if Jews would be the leaders of a place where Palestinians live, this must be oppression because they're not in the same race. So this is just a completely upside down, inside out, sideways point of view that completely perverted the look on politics. There is a proper government that is not uh, taking its citizens' right. It's called capitalism, and Israel easily could rule those people and give them civil rights and liberties instead of letting them rule themselves and basically just be a self-destructive tyranny wherever we look at. And the fact that Israelis are so worried and so afraid of being occupiers because of certain implications, and certain people saying, "Oh my God, you guys are colonizers or whatever," it's just a shame. And I think we're gonna keep trying to make all of this hodgepodge of stupid like half measures and silly solutions and proxy militias that will rule them instead of us. So in this regard, I'm not very optimistic. I think that's very sad. And this is also, again, the reason I'm working on this book to show people there is another way and it's morally justified. Now, I also want to do a brief rundown of the events before October 7th and since October 7th. So before October 7th, there was Iran, there was the Houthis, there was Hezbollah, there was militias in Iraq, there was militias in Jordan, there was terror cells in the West Bank, and of course there was Hamas in Gaza. And Israel could dismantle them, could step by step and wisely take the initiative and destroy those evil forces, but Israel did not allow itself to do it and did not give itself the moral sanction to do it. And that's a shame. And only after October 7th, after we've been cornered, and after the Israelis could no longer evade the evil of the neighbors, this is when we started truly defending ourselves, what we should have done way earlier. And this is when we start taking over Gaza and actually starting to fight, without admitting, started to fight Palestineism, as mentioned. And this is when we started to fight Hezbollah and to fight the Houthis and to fight whatever militias. And and as Ayn Rand taught us, and I keep saying, evil is impotent. Once the good understand his moral place and what he's morally able and ought to do, it's not that hard to destroy evil. And we got Hezbollah, and Syria has fallen, and Gaza is way different than it used to be. Still, we still do not give ourselves enough more sanction in Gaza, but I hopefully will get there. And the Houthis are way weaker than they were. And now, after destroying all those circles, because the Houthis and Hezbollah and the other militias were all Iran's backup proxy, because Iran said, okay, Israel would not dare to take our nuclear program because we have all of those enemies neighboring Israel and ready to destroy it whenever they do something against us. So the fact that Sinwar jumped the gun and started an attack on Israel without coordinating it with Hezbollah and Iran, of course, this attack is horrible. We paid a huge price. Many innocent people died, but this allowed us to work on a much greater threat, destroy this ring, choking Israel from all sides, step by step, until we finally got to the head. We finally attacking Iran, and we should go all in shock and awe. Don't give him a chance. Don't give him the slightest hope for this regime. And I already see reports about the Kurdish underground rising in Iran. I see reports about people I see they're getting the hope. I see the videos of them cheering, and I'm saying we are very close. Let's wrap it up. Let's take down this regime, and from them, things will be way easier. Not only because of Iran's money and Iran's forces and Iran's weaponry, it will also be a statement for the Islamists and the jihadists around us that taking us down is not that easy, and the consequences of trying is not in their favor. And then things will change, and we'll have way more power, and it will be way easier, and it will be way less deadly for everyone. So I'm looking forward for that. I have my hopes high. I'm very proud. I'm very happy, and I want us to keep going.
Yeah, very well said. I completely agree. And yeah, I have to say the point you made about October 7th is a point that in recent days I've been thinking we maybe when things quiet down, we'll do an episode about that, which I'm very good. I'm going to be very careful with how we what we call it and everything because October 7th was the worst day in Israel's history. And in a sense, the way the Palestinians did it, both in the sense of jumping the gun with their other parts of the anti-Israel army not being ready and not being a part of it, uh, and the fact that they live streamed themselves clearly in order to motivate their people, because their people want nothing more than to see the worst types of savagery against Jews. Israelis also saw that, and like you said, they can no longer evade when they see the videos of what Palestinianism looks like in practice. And but there is a place where Israel is still evading. So you mentioned what Israel is doing in Gaza, what they're doing in Lebanon, what they're doing in Yemen, what they're now doing in Iran. Um, and the West Bank is being basically overlooked. It's not because Israel is doing some stuff there, but for Israel to do what needs to be done, which is more than it is currently doing in Gaza, needs to be done, of course, in Gaza, but in the West Bank as well. My concern is, terrorist attacks where 4 or 5 people die, result in, the house of the terrorist being destroyed, maybe some roads being closed, maybe some discomfort for people in the village. But an October 7th style attack with that kind of number of casualties seems to be needed for Israel to actually realize that this is the same enemy and something needs to be done there um, now before something really bad happens. Somebody in the chat says Allah is running out of virgins. Not according to the Gaza Health Ministry. Many children have been killed, and yeah, I think that's what they like up there. So yeah, like I said, the with the fewer hours of sleep, the filters for the humor go away. I have said on the channel I bring my humor to I'm a 6 on the Razi humor scale because if I go further we will be canceled. But yeah, I go a bit further when needed and when I have no sleep. Daniel, do you want to save us with some parting thoughts that will get us not canceled?
So I like the point from Yar about sort of like this being a statement for Islamists because there never ever was. Since never, we have shown that evil is non-negotiable, that we don't negotiate with it. We destroyed the fascists during World War II, but we appeased the communists. And since then, we kept appeasing every kind of terrorist, every kind of dictatorship was simply allowed to exist and was never encountered, was never really challenged, and that needs to happen. They need to know that this is not something you can do, and not to mention that for Israel itself, it's the amount of energy Israel has to spend on its defense, on its sort of like basic even right to exist, is not good for its productivity, not good for its economy. Israel is a really productive state that can that is already achieving great things and can be even greater for the individuals and the humanity if it is allowed to exist.
All right. Daniel is still recovering from his London trip from 10 days ago, and we do have another show in just over 4 hours. PC says, Razi, I'll buy lunch for you and James one day in a free Iran. It was just dinner like a few minutes ago. I don't know how we got downgraded to lunch, but I'll take it. Yeah, looking forward to that lunch and dinner. It could be an all-day uh, buffet celebration in the Tehran hotel, casino, whatever they have there once it's freed. Um, yeah, okay. Thanks, Eyal. Thanks,
Thank
Daniel.
you.
Thanks everybody for watching. We are back in just under 4.5 hours. Like I said, for now, we're gonna do a noon show, noon UK time, a 5:30 show. Uh, those don't really have a time limit on them for now, so the reality show will, in a sense, be off the air for a while, but it will kind of be incorporated into the daily objective. Yeah, so make sure you join us and make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, the world needs the commentary that we provide because if you look at the alternatives, that is not good. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in a few hours.
Thank you.